Venezuela launches a sudden aerial provocation when a fighter jet breaks formation and rapidly descends toward a lone United States Navy destroyer operating in open waters. The jet cuts across the ship's projected path at dangerously low altitude, a maneuver later described as a routine defensive patrol. But nothing about the speed, angle, or proximity of the approach feels routine. Within seconds, a standard naval operation becomes something far more serious. The destroyer is moving steadily through calm seas when its sensors register the sudden change. Radar tracks tighten. Electronic systems register the aircraft's rapid descent. What was once empty sky now feels compressed, tense, and unforgiving. This is no distant flyby. This is an aircraft closing fast, intentionally pushing limits. From the deck of the destroyer, the fighter jet appears without warning, slicing across the horizon and dropping lower than protocol allows. The roar of engines echoes over the water as the jet streaks past, close enough to be unmistakable. The message is clear. This is not observation, it is pressure. Inside the destroyer, the atmosphere shifts instantly. The encounter is classified and elevated. Crew members move with precision, not panic. Every system begins quietly tracking speed, altitude, and trajectory. Every second matters now. At this distance, miscalculation does not mean embarrassment, it means disaster. The fighter jet loops back, tightening its turn, committing to another aggressive pass. The pilot appears confident, perhaps expecting the destroyer to slow, alter course, or respond visibly. Instead, the ship holds steady. No alarms sound on deck. No warnings are broadcast into open channels. That silence is intentional. The encounter has crossed an invisible line. This is no longer a symbolic display of air presence. It is a direct challenge unfolding in real time. One misjudged maneuver, one delayed response, and steel, fuel, and fire could replace calm blue water. What makes the moment especially dangerous is how quickly it unfolds. There is no buildup, no gradual escalation, just a sudden convergence of air and sea at speeds that leave no room for hesitation. The fighter jet makes its closest pass yet, low and fast, committing fully to the maneuver. From the outside, it looks bold. From inside the destroyer's systems, it looks risky. Every movement is being logged, measured, and analyzed in real time. This is the moment where intentions are revealed not through words, but through motion. What began as a claimed patrol has become a high-stakes encounter. And as the aircraft pulls up from its aggressive dive, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. This situation is no longer about presence. It is about what happens next, and who is prepared for it. Long before the Venezuelan fighter jet believes it has surprised its target, the U.S. Navy destroyer is already aware of its presence. Advanced radar systems detect the aircraft at extended range, long before it begins its aggressive descent. Electronic tracking confirms speed, altitude, and heading. Integrated combat systems quietly correlate the data, transforming raw signals into a clear picture of intent. Nothing about the approach goes unnoticed. Inside the destroyer, the response is calm and disciplined. There is no rush to react, no visible change in posture that might reveal concern. The encounter is categorized, assessed, and monitored through established procedures. This is not a ship caught off guard. It is a ship confirming what it already knows. Every second is measured. As the fighter jet continues its low-altitude maneuver, the destroyer's systems update continuously. Angles are calculated. Projected paths are mapped. The aircraft's flight profile is compared against known patterns. What appears from the outside as a sudden aerial challenge is internally recognized as a developing scenario, unfolding exactly as predicted. The key advantage is awareness. By detecting the jet early, the destroyer retains time. Time to evaluate, time to decide, time to shape outcomes without urgency. The aircraft's aggressive movements add clarity rather than confusion. Each sharp turn, each rapid descent, narrows the range of possibilities. Crew members remain focused at their stations. Communications are minimal and precise. Information flows silently between systems and operators, building a complete picture without broadcasting intent. The destroyer does not need to announce its awareness. It does not need to warn. Silence becomes strategy. As the jet closes in, it unknowingly reveals more than it intends. Speed changes expose commitment. Low altitude restricts escape options. The closer it flies, the more predictable it becomes. Momentum, once a tool of intimidation, begins to limit flexibility. The destroyer maintains its course. This decision is deliberate. By holding steady, the ship preserves control over the encounter's tempo. It allows the situation to evolve without escalating it. Every aggressive pass by the aircraft only strengthens the destroyer's understanding of the pilot's intent. From the outside, the ship appears passive. From within, it is fully engaged. What the Venezuelan pilot believes to be a surprise is, in reality, a scenario already under management. Every movement is logged. Every decision point is anticipated. The destroyer is not reacting, it is preparing. The encounter has shifted quietly, almost imperceptibly. What began as a dramatic show of air power has turned into a monitored event, where clarity outweighs aggression and patience holds the advantage. And as the fighter jet commits to its next maneuver, one fact becomes increasingly clear. The destroyer is not being challenged. It is watching. As the Venezuelan fighter jet continues its aggressive passes, a critical mistake begins to take shape. Not through malfunction or hesitation, but through assumption. The pilot believes intimidation equals control. Flying lower and faster, the jet commits to proximity as its primary tool, expecting pressure alone to force a reaction. But proximity is not dominance. With each pass, the aircraft flies closer to the destroyer than before, reducing distance but also reducing options. The speed is impressive. The maneuver looks dramatic from the outside. Yet beneath that spectacle lies a growing vulnerability. By committing so aggressively, the jet limits its own escape routes and exposes its intent with every movement. Inside the destroyer's systems, the pattern becomes unmistakable. The fighter jet's flight profile repeats. Altitude drops follow similar angles. Speed changes occur at predictable points. What was once uncertainty transforms into clarity. Overconfidence has turned the encounter into a readable sequence, one the destroyer's layered detection systems can now anticipate rather than simply observe. The pilot's belief in intimidation creates a false sense of control. Flying too close, too fast leaves no room for flexibility. Any sudden correction now carries increased risk. A sharper climb would bleed energy. A tighter turn would expose vulnerabilities. Momentum, once used to apply pressure, begins to work against the aircraft. This is the hidden cost of overcommitment. The jet is no longer testing reactions, it is revealing limits. Its aggressive posture exposes it to systems designed to track, evaluate, and respond far faster than human reflexes. The aircraft cannot outmaneuver awareness. It cannot outrun prediction. The attempt to dominate the encounter through presence alone now works in reverse. Each additional pass provides more data, more certainty, more control for the destroyer. The maneuver lacks strategic depth because it relies on a single assumption, that fear will replace discipline. But discipline does not panic. It observes. From the pilot's perspective, the ship's silence feels like hesitation. From the destroyer's perspective, the aircraft's behavior feels increasingly confined. The gap between perception and reality widens with every second. This is the moment where the balance quietly shifts. The fighter jet has revealed itself completely, not through action, but through repetition. Surprise has vanished. Initiative has narrowed. The aircraft is now operating inside a framework it did not design. What began as a show of force becomes a predictable pattern. And predictability, in a modern military encounter, is a liability. The critical miscalculation is not that the jet flew aggressively. It is that it believed aggression alone would dictate the outcome. By mistaking intimidation for control, the pilot surrendered the one advantage that truly mattered: unpredictability. From this point forward, the encounter is no longer defined by daring maneuvers in the sky. It is defined by who understands the situation and who no longer can. The response from the U.S. Navy destroyer does not arrive in the form of warnings, radio calls, or weapons fire. There are no dramatic announcements, no visible show of force meant for spectacle. Instead, the response unfolds quietly, through precision, discipline, and control. The destroyer subtly adjusts its speed. To an untrained eye, the change is almost imperceptible. But within the ship's systems, the adjustment is deliberate, calculated to reshape timing and distance. At the same moment, the ship alters its heading by just enough to change angles of approach. The sea remains calm. The ship remains steady. Yet the geometry of the encounter begins to shift. Defensive postures increase without spectacle. Electronic systems quietly transition into heightened readiness. Sensors refine their focus. Data streams tighten. The destroyer does not lock itself into a single reaction. It opens options. Every adjustment is made within legal boundaries, carefully calibrated to avoid escalation while still asserting control. Beyond the horizon, unseen assets begin to align. Coordination happens silently, without outward signal. Information moves faster than sound, linking systems and platforms the Venezuelan pilot cannot see and cannot account for. The destroyer is no longer operating alone. It is part of a wider framework responding as one. The fighter jet continues its aggressive passes, unaware that the engagement space is being reshaped around it. By adjusting position rather than posture, the destroyer forces the aircraft into less favorable angles. Approach windows narrow. Timing becomes unforgiving. What once felt open now feels constrained. The jet must work harder to maintain the same level of pressure, burning energy while gaining nothing. This is control without confrontation. The destroyer does not chase. It does not threaten. It simply positions itself where advantage accumulates naturally. Every movement is intentional, designed to influence the encounter without announcing intent. Silence amplifies the message. The absence of warnings is not hesitation, it is confidence. The destroyer does not need to explain its awareness. It does not need to justify its actions. Its response is written in movement, not words. As the aircraft adjusts to the destroyer's subtle changes, the balance becomes unmistakable. The jet is reacting now. Each correction reveals dependence on the ship's behavior rather than command of the situation. The engagement space has been reshaped. What began as an aggressive aerial challenge has turned into a controlled environment where options are narrowing for one side and expanding for the other. The destroyer has not escalated the encounter, but it has defined it. Every move remains legal. Every adjustment remains deliberate. And every second reinforces the same message without a single word spoken or weapon fired. The situation is understood. The situation is managed. And the situation is no longer under the attacker's control. The realization does not arrive suddenly. It builds, quietly and relentlessly, with every second spent in the air. From the cockpit of the Venezuelan fighter jet, something feels different. The destroyer below is no longer reacting. It is no longer adjusting late or defensively. Instead, every subtle movement of the ship now seems deliberate, measured, intentional, and perfectly timed. The balance of the encounter has shifted. Sensor alerts begin to increase. They are not alarms of attack, but confirmations of attention. Tracking indicators tighten. Electronic signals feel sharper, more focused. The jet is no longer operating in open space. It is flying inside a monitored environment. Every maneuver is noticed. Every correction is anticipated. The pilot adjusts course, attempting to regain initiative. The move feels necessary, but it achieves nothing. Angles that once felt open now seem constrained, turning options narrow. Altitude changes demand more energy than expected. The aircraft is still fast, still capable, but freedom of movement is fading. Confidence gives way to calculation. What began as an aggressive show of presence now requires constant reassessment. The destroyer's silence is no longer reassuring. It is unsettling. There are no warnings to respond to, no threats to challenge. Only controlled movement below, reshaping the encounter without permission or acknowledgement. Psychological pressure intensifies. The pilot understands the implication. The destroyer is no longer being tested. It is testing. The fighter jet is no longer dictating the pace. It is responding to it. Every second spent nearby increases exposure rather than advantage. Escape angles begin to close. Low altitude, once used to intimidate, now limits options. Speed becomes harder to manage without overcommitting. Any aggressive maneuver risks pushing the aircraft deeper into a situation it cannot fully see or control. The jet's earlier confidence becomes a liability. The encounter has reversed itself. The fighter jet is no longer a symbol of pressure. It is a presence seeking distance. The pilot recognizes the truth unfolding in real time. Staying close no longer proves strength. It increases risk. What was meant to challenge U.S. resolve has revealed something else entirely. The destroyer has not needed to escalate. It has not needed to threaten. Through awareness and precision alone, it has reshaped the encounter into a controlled space where dominance is defined by understanding, not aggression. The pilot begins planning disengagement, not as a tactical reset, but as necessity. This is no longer about demonstration. It is about exit. And as the fighter jet prepares to pull away, one final realization settles in, unmistakable and absolute. This encounter was never out of control. It was only misunderstood. And by the time that becomes clear, control has already been lost. The Venezuelan fighter jet finally disengages. Without ceremony or announcement, the aircraft breaks away from the encounter and climbs back toward open airspace. There are no parting maneuvers, no final display of defiance. The decision is quiet, deliberate, and final. The confrontation ends not with impact, but with distance. Below, the U.S. Navy destroyer does not pursue. The ship maintains its course and speed, continuing its mission as if the encounter never occurred. Systems gradually return to standard monitoring, not because the situation was insignificant, but because it was resolved. Control does not require acknowledgement. The sea returns to calm. Waves settle into familiar patterns. The horizon opens once more. To an observer, nothing appears changed. No damage marks the water. No debris floats behind. And yet, the encounter has left something behind that cannot be seen. A lesson. The absence of shots fired does not signal weakness. It signals mastery. The destroyer did not need escalation to assert dominance. It did not need warnings or visible force to shape the outcome. Through awareness, discipline, and restraint, it defined the encounter from start to finish. The fighter jet's withdrawal confirms what was already clear. Approaching a U.S. Navy vessel without full understanding does not create leverage. It removes it. Intimidation without awareness does not produce control. It exposes limitations. What begins as a show of presence can quickly become a test of capability one is not prepared to pass. This is the quiet reality of modern naval power. Dominance is no longer measured only by firepower, but by the ability to manage situations before they erupt. The most decisive outcomes often occur without explosions, without headlines, without spectacle. The destroyer sails on, unchanged in direction and purpose. No statements are issued. No messages are broadcast. The warning does not need to be spoken. It has already been delivered through action, or more precisely, through restraint. For those who understand the encounter, the meaning is unmistakable. Control does not announce itself. It reveals itself. The sea may appear calm again, but the memory of the encounter remains. And for those who witnessed it, the lesson will not fade quickly. Some confrontations end with force. Others end with understanding. And the most effective warnings are the ones that do not require a single explosion to be remembered.